bring up Peter Schmitz. He's a good friend of mine. He has an amazing story. So give it up for Peter. He's going to help us understand the value of installing systems and how that interacts with understanding what it means to be personality master. Good job, Peter. Give it up to Peter.
Well, so now you all know what your personality is because you did that test before, right? You all wrote it down. So the other part of this is, now you know what yours is, how do you talk to people that are different than you, right? Because the common denominator to all these systems is what? Where's he going? People, right? No matter where you go in all these systems, you have to deal with people unless you work strictly on the internet perhaps and you don't talk to people. But there are 4 types of people, right? The analytical, the driver, the amiable, and the expressive. So you need to know what you are first. Then if you learn how to do the test like Kevin and Matt demonstrated, that's great, but sometimes you can figure somebody out just by interacting with them. And the real challenge becomes, how do you interact with them to achieve what your goal is, to get what you want or to solve your biggest challenge in life. That's the challenge. And most of us, including myself, are not good at this. You have to practice it. You have to learn it. You have to make a lot of mistakes. So I'm going to give you a couple examples that I think most of you will relate to. Is a significant other, a spouse. So I'm a driver analytical. And so I want to get things done. I want an answer now. I don't want to have to talk about it, right? My wife, as you can imagine, is the absolute opposite. Right? She is very amiable. She doesn't answer a question directly, and the story weaves like this every time I want to know the answer. So if I say to her in the morning, what time are you going to be home tonight? What do I get? Her whole day agenda. Right? And I get extremely frustrated with this because it's early in the morning, we're all trying to get out the door, and I say, what time are we going to be home tonight? And it's usually, she'll say out the regular time. What for her is between 5 and 7. So that's not very, I want to eat. I train every day, I need dinner at a certain reasonable time. So now, what do? I say to her, where are you going today? What's your day like? So instead of going for the direct answer, I have learned to at least ask what's on her schedule that day. I'll get to my answer, which for me is a big challenge. I wrote it down. Patience is not one of my strengths because I'm a driver. I want to know now what time you're going to be home because I want dinner. She makes the salad, I cook the meat. So anyway, and you all have spouses, and not communicating in their language tends to create tension in a relationship. And because we are all learning this, it's our job to speak to them in their language. And Mark's a real good teacher of this, in case you don't know that, but this has been a painful lesson to learn with your spouse. So the other example I want to give you is, some of you know I wrote a book. My One Inspires Many, Be the One. This is my personal story, because I lost my arm when I was 16 in a meat grinder, and overcoming challenges and adversity was a big part of my life. So those are challenges. That's all good and well. But chapter 7 in this book is stories of other athletes with disabilities. And I had to get people to participate in this because I knew it would be, their stories were, some of them are very powerful, and I wanted them in the book. So I used these skills of talking to Jack, who was 12 years old when he decided to cut his leg off because it wasn't growing properly. It's a great story. He's 12 years old. Doesn't really know how to talk to people. He's a triathlete, but he chose to have his leg amputated when he was 12. Imagine the courage to do something like that. I wanted that in my book because it's a great story. One inspires many, and he was the one, right? That story will inspire someone else. And so I had to talk to Jack in such a way to get him to tell his story, and we recorded it, and it's in the book. There's 7 of those stories. Imagine being blind, trying to do a triathlon where you swim, bike, and run. And the story that's probably one of the most impactful stories is the guide. I interviewed one of the guides. It's a woman named Lindsay, and she guides people who are blind. She said she was pretty easy to talk to, but getting some of the feelings that she gets out of doing that, that's what I had to use all my skills to get that to come out of her, right? And I have that. But what she said was powerful. She said she will endure more pain for her blind person than she ever would running her own race. She's never done until that person is done, no matter how painful it is to her. And so these are just powerful stories, and I've used these skills in those ways. I could tell a lot more examples, but it's up to us, now that we know what our personality is, to learn how to deal with the other personalities if you want to accomplish your goals and build your boss system. Because we all depend on other people to get things done. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm not here to train you how to do that, because I'm not an expert on it. But I'm still learning, and I will tell you it's experimental. Like my wife, I get to experiment on a regular basis, and we're having less tension about what time dinner is. But there's certainly other aspects of a relationship where you have to put it in her terms and learn to deal with those. And for a driver, that's pretty hard to do. I wish I could be like Mark, where every year he changes personalities, right? And he's somebody different every time. Now he's on to what? What's he doing this year?
He's a drama.
He's drama queen, right? It's really annoying.
Drama king.
I would call him a queen.
Oh.
He's really annoying because he can turn it on like that, right? You'll be talking to him, all of a sudden he'll go off on a tangent, it's drama. It's like, well, just stop. But he can't, right? It's his thing this year. And I remember back when he was amicable. And it was quite nice, because he was, get along with everybody, and it was totally out of his character. But that was a long time ago. So he's been through them all, and he's probably recycling them. So you could do the same. You may not need to do it for a year, right? I mean, Matt, you got to get out of your, I heard you this morning. That was good. So anyway, that's all I have to say.